Say hi to for me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm literally in this town. Let's hope I don't run into him.
Hello, my friends.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, with the information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 11 of 2026. I'm Chris Louie, and happy Pi Day to all who celebrate. With me, we do not have my co-host, the Cloud Gut, who is currently working on his tan yet again.
What's up with that?
Yeah, he's been working on his tan a lot. I don't know if he's working on regrowing that hair back. Maybe that's the next thing we'll see him fly out to Istanbul.
That was the question. I was going to ask, how do we properly celebrate Pi Day?
Eating some pie.
Yeah. Well, what kind of pie?
What kind of pie? Yeah, exactly.
And we have Glenn Medina back from his special assignment from the Middle East.
Oh, yeah. Middle East. What are you talking about?
We don't need details. We don't want details. We're just letting that one go.
I neither can confirm nor deny existence or travel. But yeah, happy to be back. It's been fun. So
yeah, it's been a bit. So I'm glad you've been doing good work.
I only missed one pod, Chris. Come on.
No, I think it was two in a row.
Two in a row? Did I really? Yeah. Oh man, I'm so sorry.
You missed one with Jason and you missed one with Dustin.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I shall not.
The important thing is you're back.
Thank you.
Our guest this week is the fourth unofficial co-host, Ben Coral. Glad to have you back, and thank you for jumping in to step in for Brian.
Big shoes to fill.
Literally. Come on, we have decades of information security experience in here, not just to educate, but to entertain. We've got 4 awesome stories for this week, so sit back, relax, and Friday the 13th is not actually bad luck.
It's not? Oh, today is Friday the 13th. Get out of here.
We've had 2 in a row, so February and March of this year both had
weird?
Friday the 13th. Yeah.
Is that weird? I bet you the casinos were just packed with people.
What, yesterday?
Yeah.
This week, we're going to talk about pro-Iranian hackers, a pair of embarrassing stories about a U.S. federal contractor. For our third topic, blackmailing the blackmailers, and close with more cybersecurity interview tips. For our first topic, medical technology company Stryker temporarily went offline as a result of a pro-Iranian Palestinian-linked data wiper attack. The attackers claim they stole 550 terabytes worth of data before wiping tens of thousands of devices across the company's network. Employees reported that their MDM enrolled devices were remotely wiped clean, so these are like their Windows managed laptops, and not with a cloth this time. Employees' personally enrolled devices were also remotely wiped, so all that, I don't know if you want to call it propaganda, but everything the company says, like, we will never delete your personal data. Your personal data is safe. Well, unfortunately for this company, their personal data was not safe. And that right there is why you don't enroll your personal devices into company MDMs. Often companies have employees that have to enroll an MDM Lite, even just to access things like Teams or email. Now, Stryker did file a Form 8K with the SEC as required by law, now in the US, since they suffered a cyber attack that impacted its entire Microsoft environment. Now, the question is this the first of many cyber retaliation attacks from pro-Iranian aligned groups, or is this maybe like a one-off?
I guess only time's going to tell on that one. And that's this thing that we all have to realize, that we've said it for years, but there are no borders. There are no political borders. There's no country borders. There are no borders in a cyber war. And like with all of these quote unquote innocents that were impacted, employees of said company, there are no innocents in that cyber warfare. Attacking a business and those who are employed or engaged with said business, that's fair play for these cyber criminals, or perhaps state-sponsored attackers. This is just that new reality that we have to realize, that we are in a war, and this is a cyber war, and cyber warfare takes no prisoners. Wiping these devices,
there's no norms, no sense of norms. Like even even in, I think, in World War II, like it was, I don't know if it was illegal, but it was unethical, let's say, to like kill a medic. Like if you saw a medic, like you weren't supposed to shoot at them. Like that was like an unspoken rule of war. And
I don't think the enemy knew that though, right? Because that's why they stopped putting the Red Cross on them, on ambulances, because it was like a big target as it was moving down.
Yeah. Your ethics and your morals are not the same as somebody else's.
Yeah. Well, I having served 7 years in the military, there is this thing called the Geneva Convention. In the Geneva Convention, there are things that says that as a prisoner of war, you have certain rights. That is for countries that participate in the Geneva Convention. We're not in war with anyone or any organization that participates in that from that aspect, right? It's not a gentleman's agreement anymore. Let's put it that way.
Yes, and that's the thing, because you and I both served during different times, but there would be that argument of we've agreed to tie one hand behind our back, but our opponents did not have that agreement. They have no stipulate. They have no problems using everything in their arsenal to come at. And this is that whole argument with some of the bombs that have been dropped as well of, well, you got too close to a hospital, you got too close to a school, you got too close. And I'm not being political here. I'm just saying that not all bad actors act in good faith or don't intentionally set up near those locations, hoping that you're not going to attack them because of that proximity.
Yeah. Well, there's two sides of that too, and then it's just you still have to believe
in shield, right?
You still have to believe the media as well, though, right?
Yeah. And we're going to get into that on this very day. Do not worry. That's on our second story.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so, there's some sense of cyber norms too, like maybe not a Cyber Geneva Convention per se, but like the U.S. Cyber Command, we will not hack into Iran's hospital system and mess up their medical records. Like that's not something that we'll do. We have lawyers for that and lawyers that'll tell us no. But Iran can't say the same thing. Iranian linked organizations just free reign, do whatever you can to cause harm and cause damage. So there's some level of cyber norms, I would say, that many, maybe you would call them first world countries that would adhere to, or, especially like the Five Eyes nations. But there's no sense of cyber norms in a cyber war, whether it's Ukraine, Russia, Iran, North Korea, like anything's fair game.
No, and that's the thing is there's two aspects to the story that you brought up, and I'm gonna go to the lighter side right now and talk about the personal devices and all of those being impacted, being wiped, and the impact that could have. And I will say that is always a risk when you allow your personal device to access corporate resources. They have things in place, and yes, they say that they're not going to monitor, not going to look at your users, your address book. They're not going to monitor your texting and the things that go through there. However, understanding that if you connect to your global address list or you sync to the mail, that they have the capability to remotely wipe your device. And you agree to that because if you lose your device and it has corporate assets on it, they want to do a remote wipe for it. Well, in this case, the remote wipe was utilized to wipe all of these devices without user consent. And that's one of the things is, as an enterprise CISO, I would always chat with my legal team and my HR team and say, without explicit written consent, we will not wipe a mobile device. The person will be the one to request it, not you legal, not you HR, without you putting it in explicit writing. So it's always been there. That risk has always been there. But this is, the fear. This is why I carry two devices around, because I want to make sure that my personal device is not going to be remotely wiped. I travel a lot, just like Glenn, missing it and doing some traveling as well. I travel. And if I lost my personal device got wiped, that's my Uber. That's my hotels. That's my, my digital key on my phone to get into the hotel. That's how I do maps to know how I'm walking. I would be very crippled if my phone was remotely wiped. Yes, I can recover. I can get a new device, recover, and start restoring and doing all of those things. But the inconvenience factor, that would really suck for a period of time.
Yeah, and I think that's probably part of the motivation, I would say, from these hackers. It's just to wreak as much havoc as possible. It's one thing to wipe 200,000 servers and devices. It's another thing to go into people's personal lives and just add another level of frustration. Well, I can't work because my company's down, and also I have to run to the Apple store and buy a new phone, or I have to download 200 gigs worth of photos from iCloud, and it's going to take forever. So,
and who are you mad
and
at?
Hopefully you have a backup too, right?
Correct. Yes. And that's the thing. I'm a little less concerned about losing my photos because those are backed up. But if this happens, the distrust, the displeasure, the animosity, it's not going to be directed at these cyber criminals.
Yeah.
It's directed at the company.
Yeah. And I think the other interesting thing about this particular hack's not just the human impact or emotional impact of it, was the method that they got in. This is like a classic example of what's called the living off the land technique. Actually, throw it back to last week's episode where we talked about living off the land attacks. Is allegedly, we don't know this because we haven't gotten the Mandiant report yet, but the thought is the hackers got in through a high-level Entra or Azure account, either through your traditional means, phishing, credential stealing, session cookie stealing, or replay, and that they just got into the Intune, which is their mobile device management, just said click, 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 remote wipe these devices, and there's no EDR that's going to stop that. There's no nothing at the network layer that's going to protect you from that. It's all about identity, access control, privileges, and just protecting the method that these attackers got in.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only ways to prevent it at that point is a Faraday cage or your device being off. But as soon as you power that off or take it out of that cage, the behavior is going to happen anyways. So no, it's bad.
I just don't want to carry two phones. I'll be honest with you guys.
I'm with you.
Just for what? It's like
for what?
It's that trade-off, security versus convenience.
Well, like I said, if you remote wipe my phone, okay, what did you get? Like I said, most of my stuff is really backed up to the cloud, so even pictures. So now, if they were able to get from there into my cloud instance and delete stuff in there, now we're having a problem, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's when you have a diversity of backups. Like I have iCloud and OneDrive. I get back it up to two different places just in case. You never. Oh, and my local NAS. So actually, I have three backups. But one of those things. Like, you never know. I have
a hard drive sitting in a safe. Yeah, I have a hard drive sitting in a safe deposit box, but it's just pictures inside there. I don't even know why I pay for this safe deposit box anymore.
Because of the memories. I mean,
the memories on a memory.
Memories on a memory.
I like it. No, but if we go back to the original question that you asked, Chris, is this the first of many retaliation attacks? Well, it's the first one we know of. Others have taken place. This may be the first one of note, though.
It's part of the saber rattling from the regime, too. They said, allegedly, the Iranian regime has drones parked off the coast of the U.S. and are about to strike. So it's like, it's one of those unknown things that maybe yes, maybe no, we can't dismiss it, but how probable is it? Well, we have people protecting the homeland for that, hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, once you do that, though, you pretty much go off script and you're now attacking, hopefully they're not attacking citizens and they're attacking strategic locations that they believe is strategic, right? But once you start attacking the citizens of the U.S., you're talking about a whole new FAFO, right? So,
yeah.
Sorry, Ben, you were saying something?
Nope.
I like where you just went.
Yeah.
And I think this is also one of those things where you can kind of skirt the law that there's no, I mean, there's clear international law that if Iran attacks the U.S. homeland and kills civilians, then the strike will be fierce, it'll be fast, and it'll be final. But if you attack this company, inconvenience them, cause them millions of dollars in damages, well,
Yeah.
Cyber Command isn't chomping at the bit to get revenge for this. Exactly, they have bigger fish to fry.
I seem to remember when we did the first bombing several months ago, there were like millions of bots that went offline, right? Do you guys remember
Yeah,
that?
it was more related to Iran cutting off the internet. So the
Yes.
second that they turned off the internet, when I think it was mainly during the protest as a result of that, then they said all these troll farms, all these bots,
Mhm.
like a whole bunch of things went offline until they got their selective internet restored
Yeah.
over there. They said like all these accounts like posting pro candidates for candidates and even like European elections. He was like, okay, well now we know who the Iranians want in power because
Yes.
those troll farms went offline. All right, for our second topic, we have a pair of insider threat stories about a major U.S. federal contractor who happened to previously employ Edward Snowden. The first story is back from November when a 50-year-old employee who was contracted to our U.S. NSA, our premier intelligence agency, allegedly used his work laptop. So first boneheaded move there. He used his work laptop to go onto Reddit to groom teenage girls. So that was his second mistake there. The alleged scumbag went onto Reddit to pose as a 20-year-old man and even used an image of his deceased friend to lure young girls into explicit conversations and extorted explicit photos from them. This scumbag was reported to the US FBI by an, quote, unnamed government agency, but I think we can all figure out that it was probably the NSA who was likely monitoring his work laptop. So many questions here. Why was he allowed to access Reddit on the same computer he uses to work for the NSA? And what was he thinking?
What was he thinking? Yes. And that's this thing. My gut reaction is just, ew. What was he thinking? I don't know what else to say. But I can also say I've worked with, I engage with people who are government employees. And, going back to Glenn's comment earlier of not wanting to carry two cell phones, every single one that I know carries two cell phones. Whenever they do non-work related things, they use their personal devices. I cannot fathom the mindset that somebody in this type of role would then use their work device to go on Reddit or any of these behaviors or activities. This, having these sorts of things on that device, that your agency, your company that you're associated with is going to want to distance themselves, and they're going to work with these 3-letter agencies to turn over all data. They're not going to protect you.
And that's literally a crime. Soliciting a minor and possessing this type of material is literally a crime. And you want to do that from your work laptop that's monitored by the premier intelligence agency of the U.S. Like, all logic got thrown out the window on this one.
Yes. Yeah, no logic there. Agreed.
I'm glad he was caught. He'll get his day in court, and I'm guessing the evidence will be overwhelming. I'd be surprised if this guy doesn't take a plea deal.
Yeah.
And I don't even think they have to pull out any interesting tooling or anything. They're just like, nope, here's the logs. You went on Reddit, you did these things. I mean, that's all they have to do is they have to subpoena Reddit, get the records, get the chat logs, and it's not looking good for this fellow here.
No, and then how do you deny it? And what do you attack? Do you attack the evidence? Do you attack the processes? Do you attack how they collected it, how they handled it? And that's the only other thing to take into account is even the transmission of said materials here is a felony as well. So how do you handle that duty of care and everything from evidence also comes into question too. So no, just throw this guy in jail leave him there and make sure he doesn't get out.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Prison is very friendly to these types of folks, I hear.
Yes.
I know Glenn and I have talked about it on previous stories as well. Like we used to be proxy admins, we used to be network admins, and the things we would see in the logs and flat out just showing people these logs and having them deny it, the old Shaggy defense. No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Like,
Yeah.
we have irrefutable evidence here that it was definitely you.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to fill out reams of paper as evidence to be submitted for legal.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, oh my God, what did this guy do? What did this person do? So, like, it's like, oh, I just clicked on it once. So like, oh, buddy.
Yes.
That's like,
I can
that
see
wasn't
your
just
search
once.
terms.
Yeah.
I was doing some
I can
research,
see all
and
We go back-
research.
We
that
go
was an
back
ad
months
I
on this
accidentally
one.
clicked on.
Yeah. And it wasn't just reams. You've ever purchased a box of paper?
Like a
Right?
case of reams.
Yeah, it's like, what is that, like 20 reams inside there or something like that? Or
I think
10?
it's 10 reams of
Yeah.
500 pages, so 5,000
Yeah.
pages worth.
It's a lot. So,
Yep.
but but it just reminds me of, like, it's the same people that registered for Ashley Madison with their Govy account.
Yeah, they're
Right.
state.gov. Or
Like, guys, gals, what are you doing? Like, seriously, this is not your email.
Well,
Right.
you don't want your spouse being able to find it, and that's the only email address that they had that their spouse didn't have access to. Forget creating one of these free ones.
Gmail.
Create
Yeah,
your own
you don't want to
Gmail.
create a
Proton mail.
chrislouis.net email address and tie it
free
there.
scumbag email hosting.
I know. Oh my God. Like, that only took like 3 more steps to do, and you just were either lazy or just really, really dumb.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Or
then
both.
you have to wonder what they paid for it. What credit card they used to pay for it, that it wasn't being seen there as well.
The American
it was
Express
the same
government card. Oh my.
Yeah, I would say, the government might say, like, what's this am.com charge on here? But I remember back in the Doge days when Elon was in there, he said something like, there's 300,000 employees and there's like 450,000 credit cards. So there's something fishy going on here. And yeah, I doubt they have a tight control around that. Speaking of Doge and the government agencies, the second story relates to the same federal contractor who hired someone who applied for the job at this U.S. federal contractor with the sole purpose of gaining access to U.S. Treasury Department systems to steal and leak Donald Trump's tax returns. The employee, Charles Edward Littlejohn, stole and leaked the confidential tax returns and returned information of hundreds of thousands of taxpayers, not just Trump, but that was, I think, his main target. And we can actually say he did it because he was convicted and is currently serving a 5-year prison term.
That's it.
Now, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent canceled all contracts with the firm after this news came out.
After the news came out, all of that. I mean, it took some time, but this is still tens of millions of dollars of contracts that are being canceled. Yes.
And that's one of those things, like, you would think after Snowden, they would have buttoned up either through hiring practices or DLP controls or improved monitoring, that they wouldn't want this embarrassment again. Yet somehow this fell through the cracks.
They only had a browser.
And that's this thing is, one of the spokesmen for this contractor comes out and says that they were surprised that the contracts were being canceled, citing that the Treasury thanked them for support during the investigation. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Because you still failed to detect and to prevent the behavior over the course of a long time. And this is a couple of years now. So you employed somebody who, again, over the course of these years, stole and leaked information on how many people? Hundreds of thousands of taxpayers. And fed that information to news outlets. So there's the tie-in, Glenn, to whether we believe that our media has scruples, where information is being fed to them that they know was not obtained legally, or that they're likely not going to be legal, but still out there. This wasn't a one-time activity. This was over several, over a long period of time. But the contractor comes and says they used broad search terms to evade detection. Okay. And used personal devices to exfiltrate said data, USB drives, and even an iPod to copy all the data on, and walked away with it. So once again, what controls did you have?
Yeah, it's like you did not learn anything from Edward Snowden. Like he smuggled all those files out on a USB drive as well. Yeah, it's like you would think after that they'd like epoxy everybody's USB ports. That this is out of hand. That happened again.
Yes, and just the appearance, the reputational hit, all of this. And as you said, they stole the tax information, and the person admitted to taking the job specifically to get the tax returns of, at that point, then candidate, because
was he hired? Or did he do this on his own? He was hired.
Well, he was but he was a boomerang employee, so he was a known person.
No.
So
I mean, who hired him? I mean, not who hired him, but who do you think he was working with to get that data? Because that wasn't self-motivated, right? Was that one of these, rich people types, whatever, like there's got to be something behind that. Was he a mole? Was he a plant?
And that's the thing, is he felt that, he felt it was morally wrong for Trump not to release his tax records, and that no candidate in the previous 40 years had failed to release it. So he thought that was morally wrong. And he felt that Trump as a whole, or as a person, was a threat to democracy, quote unquote, threat to democracy. Therefore, this truly could have been just on him, or as you're saying, Glenn, this could have been orchestrated.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. It's quite possibly he was like a Manchurian candidate into it. That he's like, but just because it's morally wrong doesn't mean it's legally wrong, right?
Yes, but he went and stole 15 years worth of records,
and that's legally wrong.
Yeah,
that's
along with other wealthy people.
Yeah. What do you call it when you take someone and you make them do this, and you just turn them into a puppet? You're enabling them.
Coercion?
No, I don't know if it's coercion.
Extortion. It's like Manchurian candidate.
Yeah.
You brainwash someone, and then there's a signal, and then they're supposed to do something.
Yes. So again, just why do you think that would be right? Why do you think it's okay, whether you disagree with somebody politically or not? Treating them like that, doing this to them, just, would you be okay with others doing that to you? Well, I'm not. Again, just amazes me. Or saddens me.
Radicalized.
Nothing that really surprises me these days.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised this happened. I'm not surprised that he leaked it to the New York Times and ProPublica, and those were the publications that he chose. I'm not surprised that he picked particularly wealthy people to do it too, and just trying to, I guess, blow the lid on it. Very similar to, I guess, what happened with the Panama Papers a while ago as well. How looking at the inner workings of how rich people stay rich and evade taxes in one form or another.
Yeah. And whether that's corporate taxes, whether it's personal taxes, but I do like the statement where you hear, are there loopholes that and every rich person uses the same loopholes to reduce the liability, the tax liability, and you'd use them too if you could. So are we just upset that they exist, or that we're not able to take advantage of them as well?
Right. Yeah, I remember the one line in the debate where Trump was debating his opponent, and his opponent was saying, "Oh yeah, Donald Trump abuses the tax code, and he pays zero taxes." And then Trump says, "Oh well, my opponent had a chance to shut it down, but you know why? her donors all use it too.
Yes.
It was like,
I'm only using
fair enough.
this based off of the laws that are provided here, and she
Exactly.
created them. Oh God. That was a boss move,
right.
wasn't it? Inside of
Really?
a debate. Oh my God.
That's
Yeah.
one thing I'll give our president. Like, love him, hate him, you can say anything you want about him. He is very quick. He has the ability to think on his feet.
He does, and I also sit there and say, you know what he thinks, because he's going to tell you what he thinks, thinks about you or thinks about a situation.
Yeah.
And I should also, I guess, put the disclaimer: firing from the hip has its good points, but it also has its bad points as well.
Yeah. Keep him off of Twitter, please.
Yes.
All right,
But that's how you know he's alive.
Yeah.
And he's not auto penning something, right? So.
All right, before we go too deep into the rabbit hole for our third topic, in a wild twist of irony, a Moscow man named Ruslan Sachuin allegedly tried to extort money from the notorious Conti ransomware group back in September 2022 by pretending to be an officer from Russia's Federal Security Service, better known to us as the FSB. Listeners of the podcast will know that Conti was no small-time operation. At its height, this Russian-linked cybercrime syndicate was hitting hospitals, governments, and businesses worldwide, taking hundreds of millions of dollars in ransom and causing multiples of that in destruction and disruptions. But here's the bold move. After reading the Conti leaks online, which were the chat logs and other information leaked about the group from an alleged insider, Satuchin reached out to a Conti member, claiming he had sway over law enforcement investigations into the gang. His deal was to pay him or face real criminal heat from the authorities. Now, he leaned into the perception that Conti might have had some Kremlin protection, something that came to light after those Conti leaks exposed the inner workings and alleged ties. If convicted, Satuchin faces up to 10 years in prison and a fine of up to 1 million rubles, which is about $13,000. Was this a what on earth were you thinking moment, or do you consider him an enterprising entrepreneur?
Yes. Just yes there. And that's the thing is I've enjoyed movies like The Italian Job, Ocean's 11, 12, 30, however many numbers now. And even the TV show, The White Collar, which was, came out of Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo DiCaprio, I believe, was in that one.
Yeah.
Con artists, ability to pull off these heists. It's just something that I personally find fascinating. We talk about social engineering and all of those types of things, so it's kind of our business to know about them. However, is this that what on earth are you thinking? Targeting not just a criminal group, but an extremely well-funded criminal group. That's some next level gumption there. They have no problem working outside the law, and you're going to start targeting them and extorting them. And so you got to be pretty confident in your abilities to pull off this heist.
Pretty confident or pretty incompetent to think you'll get away with it.
Yes,
I think I saw a video, on YouTube, or was it YouTube or one of the social video platforms, and it was of this lady had called the cops because it was a drug deal gone wrong, and they took her money that she was supposed to buy cocaine with, right?
Someone stole my meth.
Yeah. No, that's what it was. Someone stole my meth, and the cop goes and is like, "You're calling me to complain about someone that stole meth, that you were there on a meth deal gone bad." Like, okay, this is right. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say they probably.
But I was wronged.
Yeah, the same thought process here, and it's also like if you read the Conti leaks, they have alleged ties to Russian government protection. Like, why would you extort them? Because they could just pick up the phone and call their actual FSB contact and say, "Is this you shaking me down?" No. Like,
oh, dude.
Well, let me tell you who is.
This is like, oh yeah, you think you got me? How about this reverse Uno card right here? Right.
Well, and that's this thing is very bold of this individual to assume that an organization that has made hundreds of millions of dollars by gaining unauthorized access to other systems, digital systems, will not be able to verify if you are in fact associated with with the FSB. You think they're not going to check up on you? You think they're not going to be able to find out? No, come on. Don't be a bonehead here. Yeah, think about, pick your targets wisely.
I think if it was like, maybe like a smaller time game, but not like Conti. Conti was like the top of the pyramid in terms of ransomware groups that, pick someone a little bit smaller, maybe you can get away with it. It's sort of like, extorting the drug dealer. Like maybe you can extort your corner drug dealer, but you don't try to extort the kingpin. Like there's got to be consequences to that if one caught.
No, and that's the thing. Just to be clear, we don't support criminal activity, but criminals scamming other criminals, I'm not losing sleep over this one.
Yeah, these are the types of stories I love. Like I know Glenn knows that there's two types of stories I love. One is stupid criminals, and two is hacking the hackers. And this is something like hacking the hackers, blackmailing the blackmailers. Like,
well, no, you missed the third one. You like Florida Man stories.
Florida Man. All right, fair enough. Yeah, Florida Man number 3, Taco Bell number 4.
Yeah, I read you like an open book, Chris. Come on, man.
That's true.
It's almost like you've been doing this for a few years together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Has it? It's been a few years.
Oh, that's right. March is going to be our 5th anniversary. You're right.
Wow.
I think we started at the end of March. I'll have to look up the exact date we started, but yeah, that's correct.
Gotta see what we're recording in RSA next week. No, week after next. We gotta find out where we're recording.
All right, let's do it. RSA will be interesting this year. Another San Francisco. Although with Daniel Laurie in power, I think things have gotten slightly better.
All right. I chose to sit this one out, so I won't see you in a couple weeks.
Oh, no.
All right. You'll be missed, Ben. All right. For our last topic, it'll be a rotating topic every week. This week, we're going to talk about more cybersecurity interview questions. I thought since we have 2 hiring managers on the show, I will ask a question, give my answer, and you two can critique it from a hiring manager point of view. Now, just in fairness, I prepared the questions, therefore I already prepared the answers in my head, so this isn't going to be like a snap, think on your feet type of moment, but I think it's more of like, what do you look for in an answer? What's the definition of a good answer? And what goes through your head when hiring somebody? And this is how they answer. All right, without further ado, question number 1. What is the CIA triad and why is it considered foundational in cybersecurity? And I think this actually ties back to our first story about people's personal devices. So I'll just open up. The CIA triad is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And you ideally want all 3. Confidentiality, you don't want unauthorized people reading stuff they're not supposed to. Integrity, you want to make sure the data hasn't been altered or in any way. And availability, you want to make sure it's easy and available to access. And if you take away one of those 3, that's not very good for cybersecurity. And the reason it's called a triad is because if you improve one of them, typically there are some trade-offs that you have to take away from the other. And cybersecurity is all about compromising, finding the risk tolerance, and having an acceptable level of risk, because something that's extremely confidential, like if I lock a USB drive in a bank vault, it's extremely confidential, but it's not very available. So we're going to have to find some type of middle ground there. All right, so go. How did I do?
Glenn?
You first.
No, fair enough. And that's the thing is I'm going to ask, what's more, I'm going to ask you, in your opinion, which of those 3 is most important and why? And if you had to give up any of the ones, and I like the example that you just gave up, put it into the bank vault. So it's going to be confidential. you're not going to be able to mess with the data. So my integrity is going to be there, and the availability is what you're giving up. And I want a person to walk me through the examples there of which one's most important and why, because I want to understand their mindset, their perspective, and walk me through a couple of different use cases where you might give up confidentiality, or where you might, in this case, your example, you gave up availability. And help me to understand why you're giving up that one, because there will be cases where the business comes to us and says, we need to do this. And I want to know how well that person's going to be able to rationally think through or logically think through giving up one of those of the three. And is their mindset going the same direction that my team, with the risk tolerances, appetite statements, and everything that we have, do we align in thought process as well? I'm not trying to hire only people who think and act and do like me, but I need to make sure that they're not going to undermine the stances of the security team when we hire them as well. So I like the example that you gave. I'm going to ask them, if you do have to give one up, which one do you give up again to get that? But I liked your definition. You at least knew what the three were. And I have asked, what the triad was without saying the CIA triad. And then I would, try to see if they even understand where I'm going with that. And even when I did say CIA triad, they still could not tell me what all three of those were. Now, you came up with the question, so I imagine you knew what they were, but still.
I will say that for the questions so I asked AI to generate a list of cybersecurity questions. I didn't ask for the answers, but I tried to be honest about it, and this is how I would have done an interview without doing any further research into it.
Yep.
So,
all right, Glenn.
I'll be honest with you. For the first 15 minutes, I don't do anything technical in my interviews.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
I need to find out first if this person's going to be a good fit in my environment before I even go down the rabbit hole of talking to them technically.
Well, all right. Let's be honest and say, at my stage, I'm assuming I don't ask anything technical anymore, because you've gone through 2 or 3 interviews before you make it to me.
Yeah.
I'm doing relational fit and personality fits. So fair enough.
Yeah.
That's true. I will call it audible, Glenn. Pull out one of your personality.
Well, but I will tell you though, I mean, I've done several now, and I've caught a couple who I thought was using AI to answer the questions for them. And this is like, I don't know if anyone is listening out there. Stop. Just really stop.
Stop.
It's obvious, right?
It's very obvious.
Like
it can be seen.
Because I've seen those videos I think it was on X, and it's because you have the monitor, you're on screen, but then there's like a phone in front of the monitor. And then it's listening to the interview, and then it's in real time generating the responses. And I'd like you too. We've been in this industry decades. Like, we know, don't try to BS a BSer. Like, we know what you're up to.
Yeah.
And stop holding your phone up to the speaker. We know what you're doing.
Well, for some of them, you could actually hear typing. It's like, it's like, gosh.
Talk about boneheaded moves, right?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. But again, I spend the first 15 minutes just trying to figure them out, right? As a person, if, the culture, if they exude or exhibit the same things from a work ethic standpoint, you kind of figure that out, right? And then if I can get past that, then we go into the technical portion, because who cares how technically smart you are if you just deserve to be locked behind a door and never interact with anybody, right? And in our jobs, there is a fair amount of interaction with people that they have to be able to do, along with being technical, right?
Yeah, I'd agree. And I do here at Zscaler, I've probably literally done hundreds of technical screens, and that's, I would say, second line, because usually the hiring manager calls, make sure they're interested, make sure they're a potential fit, and then I'm second line, so I have to do both. I have to do a technical assessment, because we don't want to hire a good personality, but you don't know things technically, and then I also have to gauge personality wise as well, and just like you two, I've done this long enough where I'll know within the first even like 5 minutes like I'll know if you're a good fit or not, and then I'll keep going. I mean, I give everybody the full hour just to see if they can redeem themselves. But in general, I can tell, like, are you going to be a good cultural fit, or do you have the mindset of a hacker? Like, do you think like, you know, the type of candidate that we want? And I've actually gotten people that ask me straight off the top, like even before you started, like, what's your ideal candidate? What do you want to see? How do you want this to go? Like, if you open with that, that's huge, because people go into an interview and they think it's Q&A, like it's rapid fire Q&A, like stump the chump type of things. But if you go into the interview mindset, so like, this is going to be a conversation, you know, help me help you, like, how can we make this better for both of us? Like that's huge in my mind. Yeah.
Well, and I used to listen to a podcast called Manager Tools, and it said the purpose of the interview is not to hire somebody. The purpose of the interview is to find why this person who is just presented to you is not a good fit, because they went through several screens to make it to you. So somebody already believes they are a good fit. So find out why they're not a good fit.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. All right. I don't know if we have to go to the rest of them. I think we did a pretty good job of dissecting the Q&A process, and also unless, Glenn, you have a personality, like a Myers-Briggs type of personality question you want to ask that you usually ask in the first 15 minutes, non-technical.
You mean like something like, if you were to steal something from the office, which would it be? A pencil, a paperclip, a piece of paper? And walk me through your thought process on that.
That's actually, that is an intriguing question. Like, we're laughing about it, but it gives you a dimension of a person, because you'll get some people like, I would never steal. Like, stealing is bad. Like, all theft is bad. Like, you'll have those hardliners, and you don't necessarily want that mindset either, because number one, they're not flexible, and number two, they're telling you what you want to hear. But if you say like, well, anything's open season, like, yeah, I see that, I like it, I have to take it. Like, you don't want the other extreme either. You kind of want something in the middle that say like, well, I mean, and I'm talking from my perspective as an interview candidate. I said, well, you know, if I'm using a pen and I forget that it's not mine, I throw it in my backpack, then, you know, when what happens. Or I'll say, oh, you know, the office has snacks and I have a long drive home, so maybe I'll take a Coke, maybe I'll take a bag of chips. I know I'm supposed to eat it at the office and enjoy it there, but, you know, I have to commute. I have a long commute and I need nutrition, or I need sustenance, so I'll take that with me.
I'm still on the clock because I'm still taking calls on the way home.
Ooh, I like that. There you go. Yeah, but no, I've asked similar types of questions for that same reason, and that's the thing, is you don't want the hardliners either way. Yeah. And you know, I get it, that the statement of you know, if you really cared about it, you would have locked it up. And I've said for a long time, you know, locks keep honest people honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because it removes that temptation. But that whole thing of, well, it's open game. It was on the table. I was here. Let me take it with me.
Yeah, I'll just sidebar real quick here. I worked at a company, one of my first tech companies. I remember walking into the cafeteria going, wow, there's like all kinds of stuff that's free here. Snacks. Think of all snacks, sodas, and everything you want. And I remember at some point in the middle of the morning, a lady coming by and basically taking all the carrots that were in the fridge.
Yeah.
And and you just look at people and you're like, okay, so what are people going to eat for the rest of it? And she did this every day.
Yep.
So
it's like a bag of carrots is $3. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? So, but anyways,
a rabbit farm or something.
Yeah, Ben, like keep people honest. But they were individually wrapped carrots, right? I mean, that individual, like little snack size, and they're like, what are you doing? And some of it I can see, like, okay, I'm taking a soda to go, I'm taking a snack to go.
Yeah.
But when you clear out a whole shelf of food, you're pretty much taking care of the seats, taking advantage of the system here. So
yep. And that's the thing, is I saw somebody as they were going out was grabbing the 12 packs. You know, I work for a great company. They had all these sodas in the fridge, and somebody grabbed multiple 12 packs as they were walking out the door. Yeah. And, you know, I don't mind asking. I'm like, yo, what's the deal? And he's like, oh, I'm having a little get together at my house later, but it's all people from work. Therefore, I figure I can take these.
No. No. Said no one ever.
Yes.
I can see the logic. I don't agree with the logic, but I can see that.
The logic is
Was that the CFO?
exactly.
He gets a pass. He signs the checks.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's funny.
I'm just like, come on, people.
Yeah, back at Iron Key. I mean, we were not an early stage startup. We were a startup ish, but we had a soda vending machine there. But everything cost 25 cents. Like, okay,
Yes.
I mean that's reasonable, right? Like, I pay 25 cents. This would be like $3 if I went to CVS, but for the convenience, I'll pay the 25 cents. And you can say, oh, you should just give it for free. But I'm like, I can see the compromise there. Like, you prevent people from walking out with 12 packs, but it's still reasonable to charge 25 cents for a soda. And
absolutely. And it stops just everybody, taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
But, I had the similar at one of my, organizations, and most of us kept a stack of quarters on your desk. So if you just didn't have one, you walk in your buddy's cube, you grab a quarter and you go grab your Coke. Yeah. Nobody thought anything about it.
Yeah. You get the one guy that takes the whole stack of quarters.
Takes the quarters. Like, all right, well, now we have a thief in the office. That's a bigger problem.
There's always
an
one.
Actual
There's
thief.
always one.
There's always one. Yeah, that's true. We had an interesting fellow in my another story for another day, but yeah. All right, well, we continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week. Dad joke of the week. This week, our guest Ben is up.
All right, so since Brian is out working on his tan, I figured I'd add a joke here about one of the hobbies that takes us all outdoors. So Glenn, why do dads take an extra pair of socks when they play golf?
I don't know.
Why is that?
In case they get a hole in one.
Wow. That's actually really good, Ben. That's a good one.
It's a real dad joke.
Real dad joke.
All right, to wrap things up, U.S. companies are catching strays from Iranian-linked hacktivists. A federal contractor is in hot water after a pair of seemingly blunders. Blackmailing the blackmailers did not work, and personality is equally important to tech skills while interviewing. That's all I have for this week. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find us on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. Follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank our listeners and subscribers who rated us 5 stars in the iTunes Store and Spotify and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. And the best way to find us is to search for the PEBCAK Podcast in your favorite podcast listening app. My co-host Glenn Medina and our guest co-host Ben Coral. I'm Chris Louie. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next weekend. As always, have a nice day.
Bye, Felicia.
Later.
Have a nice day.